I'm Ellis, 30 years old, and 5 years ago, I made the hardest decision of my life cutting ties with my toxic family. Since then, I've built a life they said I'd never have. Good job, nice home, genuine friendships. Last month, my sister hired private investigators to prove I was lying about my success, planning to expose me as a failure at our grandmother's birthday dinner. Before I dive into how my sister's plan to humiliate me backfired, spectacularly drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from and hit subscribe if you've ever had to distance yourself from toxic people in your propos. Life. Growing up in a middle-class neighborhood in Portland wasn't the idyllic childhood it might sound like. From the outside, our two-story colonial with the white picket fence looked perfect. My father Richard worked as a bank manager, always dressed in crisp suits and commanding respect wherever he went. My mother Diane was a high school English teacher, known for her strict grading and even stricter parenting. We never wanted for necessities, took annual vacations to the Oregon coast, and participated in all the right extracurricular activities. But behind closed doors, our home was a battlefield where I was always on the losing side. My older sister Amanda, 2 years my senior, was the golden child. She got straight, as without seeming to try, was captain of the debate team and eventually went to an Ivy League college on scholarship. Everything Amanda touched turned to gold. My parents proudly displayed her trophies, framed her certificates, and mentioned her accomplishments to anyone who would listen. "Why can't you be more like your sister?" became the soundtrack of my childhood. Then there was my younger sister Bethany, just 14 months behind me, who quickly learned that siding with Amanda and my parents was the path of least resistance. She became Amanda's shadow, echoing her criticisms and joining in when my family found new ways to belittle me. "Ellis is just sensitive," they'd say when I objected to their treatment. "Ellis needs to toughen up. Ellis is making a big deal out of nothing." I wasn't a bad student. I maintained a B average while working part-time at the local grocery store. I had a small group of friends, played saxophone in the school band, and never got into serious trouble. But in my family, being average was the same as failure. When I expressed interest in studying graphic design, my father laughed and called it a hobby, not a career. When I won second place in a regional art competition, my mother said, "Second place is just the first loser." When I was accepted to the state university, instead of an elite college, Amanda made sure to point out that they pretty much accept anyone with a pulse. The only person who ever seemed to see me for who I was my grandmother Eleanor, my father's mother. A widow who lived across town, she would invite me over on weekends to bake cookies and work on art projects. "You have a good eye, Ellis," she'd tell me, as I sketched in her sunroom. And more importantly,